Hyperbarics for Heroes.
A hyperbaric chamber.
And hyperbaric.
Hyperbarics for heroes.
While most people associate the chambers with physical healing, it turns out they can also provide therapy for mental issues as well.
We're doing hyperbaric air, so there's no hood, there's no mask, and you're in here able to talk.
People in there like mold toxicity, Lyme disease, or stroke victims, or have renal failure, liver problems, and so on.
And this will help them. If it helps one, is it not worth getting them into the chamber?
Welcome back to Chamber Chatter. Today's episode is deeply personal and incredibly powerful. I'm honored to be joined here by Schayene Silva, a woman whose story of facing and navigating cancer reminds us of the strength we all carry. Today's conversation isn't just about illness, it's about courage, community, and reclaiming your body's power. I'm just going to dive right in with the questions. Before we dive into your health journey, can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Well, first, thanks for having me here.
Of course.
It's really exciting. I'm really nervous. It's my first health podcast. I've done one before about business, but my first health one. Who would have thought? But like you said, I'm Schayene Silva. I'm 37 years old. I have a business. I was born in Brazil and moved here in 2005. So I've been here 25 years. And I have 2 little boys and cancer.
Can you take us back to the beginning where you first saw the signs something was wrong with your health?
So I've, I come here to do hyperbaric. So like I've told Paul before, whole life I had issues with going to the bathroom and like detoxing. If I took some medicines, I would have reverse reaction. So I felt that those things were not, like my body wasn't proper working. And then I moved to this house that I live now. And then I started having some serious problems. Before I just had like constipation, and I could deal with that. But then I moved to this house in 2022. And then I started having some real problems. I started having brain fog, memory loss. I would tell my husband, I just couldn't remember words or things. And people would be like, do you remember that? And I would act like I did it because I was embarrassed because it was not even that long ago. And my blood pressure was low. I was starting to feel dizzy, like low to the point that was like 90/60. It's a little low. Dizziness, faint. No, I never fainted, but like lightheaded. Then I started having panic attacks, anxiety. I couldn't drive on the highway anymore. All things that I would be the last person you would think would have a panic attack and anxiety because I'm really chill. Started having heartburn, constant heartburn every day, literally every day. And then I started having the salivation. At night, the more water I would drink, the more I would salivate, to the point that sometimes I would have to go to the bathroom, because it was just so much, I couldn't swallow back. And that was a lot of heartburn. Had H. pylori, had esophagitis grade C. I felt like I was dying. I felt like it wouldn't take long, and in like 6 years, I don't know why, but I would think like in 6 years this thing's gonna kill me. That's what I thought. And thinking back, that makes a lot of sense, because in 3 years that gave me cancer, and if I hadn't found the root cause, I believe I would live maybe 2 to 3 years more. And I think 6 years would probably have been the right number.
Wow.
But that's how I was feeling. And then eventually I went to several doctors because I had this flank pain. November 2023, I started to have a flank pain. And
for people watching, what's flank pain, and where is the flank?
So it's right here. I had on this area right here.
So your lower abdomen to the
like literally
left.
Right here, yeah. And I had cancer. I had kidney cancer on my left kidney. And I started to have this pain, and I went to 6 to 8 doctors. I can't even remember how many. They all said it was gas or that I was muscle pain. And then I would say, I'm afraid it's cancer because I feel this pain 24/7. It wasn't a like strong pain. It was just like dull, and it was constant there. It was the whole time, and I would lay in bed, and that's all I could think. I'm like, this has to be something really bad. You know, why is my body? But my body was alerting me that something was wrong, right? I wouldn't hurt like that if nothing was wrong. So eventually I went to a doctor that did listen, and I would even tell them, I was like, I'm afraid this might be cancer. And they would be like, oh no, you're too young for cancer. They kind of like just brush it off. And then I went to this doctor, and she told me to get a CT scan, which I did. And then it came back with a tumor mass on my kidney.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What is your official diagnosis, and how do you feel how did you feel when you heard the news?
Well, yeah, this is a good spot because this goes right how I felt. So I have stage 1, grade 2 clear cell renal cell carcinoma, which is the most common kidney cancer subtype. But I felt horrible because the way I found out was through my chart. Nobody called me. Nobody said anything. They uploaded that document, the CT, on my chart. I mean, they shouldn't do this, you know? You go there, you check, and then you start freaking out. Like,
Right.
I start crying right away. It was 7 a.m. It was open. So I called them, and I was like, somebody needs to call me. And they were like, well, the doctor can see you within 4 weeks. I was like, 4 weeks?
Yeah.
I will die from anxiety by then. I was like, you don't understand. You cannot tell somebody that they have cancer and not call them the next day.
Right.
This should be like illegal.
Right,
This
'cause-
should be an emergency thing where people are like, we need to give this person 15 minutes. They never spend more than 10 minutes with you anyways.
Right.
We can even do a telehealth, but we shouldn't upload this without letting them see it and then say, oh, in 4 weeks we might be able to talk to you.
Right.
That person will like die from anxiety.
Right.
you
Yeah,
know?
because it's a big deal to just have it on your computer or your
Yeah.
phone, and it's accessible
have
to
cancer.
you. Right.
You're like, okay, what do I
Right.
do
And
now?
that
You
means-
don't know. It's
Right.
totally new, and you don't expect that. So I cried for days, week, until I was like, somebody needs to call me, or I don't know. I'm gonna do something.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Right.
So they called me,
Yeah.
and she's like, "There's nothing I can do for you. You need to go to a urologist." So it was hard. I had to get a lot of referrals, but I did. So I went to urologist, but I felt awful for the first month. It was really bad. Yeah.
Wow. At what point did you begin questioning the traditional medical approach?
So I was always very open-minded about health and vaccines, RFK, food dyes, and all this stuff. And because I've been to so many doctors and they kind of just dismiss me with all my problems, I was on this journey, this natural journey, trying to fix my constipation, all my detox problems, and all of that. And I've heard about a lot of things. And then one of those things was hyperbarics. So when I found out that I might have cancer, because it wasn't a for certain diagnosis, kidney cancer, you only know you have it after surgery. So all these months, I had the possibility that it wasn't. So they don't tell you if it is or not until you're actually after, because they don't biopsy. So they will only biopsy once it's out of your body. So I came to hyperbarics, I think, within a week, since I wasn't getting any answers from my doctors. And here I met a lot of people, a lot of really special, important people. Paul, Nate, Aaron, Robert, Pat, you know, all these people, Josh, that were really important on this journey. And Erin, when I first met her, she gave me a list of things that she did for her breast cancer, a list of people that I should follow. And that kind of started my journey. And on the day that I didn't meet her, she said that I should test my house for mold, which I did. But at the time, my house came clean because it wasn't the house, you know. So it came clean. So that took like 6 months that I could have found the answer, and I didn't, because I just tested the house instead of testing my body first. So that's but I've always was very open-minded about natural things, because I don't, like I said, I have reverse reaction to a lot of medicine. So I just feel like that would be better for my body, because like if I drink, I don't feel very good, you know, like I don't detox well. So I was always very open about it. So
Something about the mold. Why did she direct you towards the mold?
So Erin had breast cancer 10 years ago, and she told me that the root cause of her breast cancer was mold. She believes that was it. I believe that was it now that I know.
For yourself also?
Yeah. For my root cause is mold. But when somebody tells you that, when anybody talks about mold, you're like, it's just a little mold.
Right.
It's not going to make you sick. You know,
Right.
it's not going to give you cancer. You know, it sounds a little crazy. I listened to her. I believed her because Erin's very genuine. So I believed her. But when my house came back clean, I was like, that's not my root cause. I'm going to move on, you know. But she knew, and she had done a whole remediation with her house. And breast cancer and mold, actually, now that I've studied, breast cancer is one of the big ones that will type of cancers that you will have. So like you have kidney cancer, sarcoma, glioblastoma, basal cell melanoma, breast cancer, lung cancer. So those are very, very mold related type of cancers, which are more metabolic cancers, which I would call those now, knowing what I know, environmental cancers, because only 5% of cancers are actually genetics.
Okay.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
That's not something everyone like tells
Nobody
about
talks
it.
about it.
No,
Yeah.
not at all. What made an incredible You made an incredible discovery about mold. How did you connect the dots between your symptoms and an ice maker?
So I didn't go there yet because I was holding them for the bang, you know. So this whole journey I was working on healing myself. Like I went, once she told me, my doctor said, you got to find a urologist. I went to 5 urologists. 2 said to wait and monitor since my tumor was small. And 3 others said that I should go ahead and take it out since I was too young. Why monitor so long and take it out? When I did that, I decided to do half of that, like half one way, half the other. I said, I'm going to wait 6 months. And if in 6 months that doesn't work, if I can heal naturally, then I'm going to have surgery. And that's why I started doing hyperbarics. And my numbers had never been better than before. I started doing a lot of things, and my blood tests were all green. Like, once I started doing hyperbarics, I was healthy. Like, it was the most I've ever detoxed, the best I've ever felt. Even my hair started growing. It was a big deal. I could notice my nails. I had a crack on my heel that would never go away. It closed. Everything was good. And looking back now, I think I would have healed myself if I wasn't being exposed to what was making me sick.
Right.
So the 6 months passed, and I went to do my surgery. So I went and got my surgery, and after my surgery, I look at my doctor and I was like, what do you think caused my cancer? You know, I need to know. I can't live not knowing what happened, you know? Right. And he looked at me and just said, bad luck. And that really struck me because I believe I'm a very lucky person. He don't know me, but I'm a very lucky person, you know? I was like, that was like, I think God knew that I wouldn't accept that.
Right.
So that was actually the best thing the doctor could have told me, because that made me not accept what he said. So when he said bad luck, I was like, I'm very lucky. I found this cancer stage 1, because renal cell carcinoma is a silent cancer. So you don't know signs until it's too late. And when you found too late, only 10% of people live.
Wow.
So, and there's no signs. It doesn't hurt. You don't bleed or anything. So for me to have that pain, I believe that was God, like, hey, pay attention. You know, like, there's something going on. And if I hadn't found, you know, I probably wouldn't be here within a few years. So that whenever he said that, you know, that your cancer was bad luck, I came home and I was like, I just can't live with bad luck. So I started uploading every test that I have, everything on ChatGPT, imaging, blood test, urine test, epigenetics test. And then I started typing my symptoms. I was like, well, I felt this. And then it would tell me something. I was like, well, is that why my heel was cracked? And he was like, yes. Is that why I can't go to the bathroom? And it was like, yes, it all connect. I was like, I have always had low ferritin. I have high MCV. So ChatGPT made a timeline and start connecting all the dots for me. And in the meantime, Aaron kept sending me mold videos on Instagram. So it's like God was working on my journey with, me and ChatGPT uploading everything, and Erin was just right there, like just pushing me. I feel like she's the angel that really saved my life.
Wow.
Because if I didn't have Erin, I would have never tested my body. So she kept sending that, and I was working on this timeline, epigenetics, getting some answers that no doctor was giving to me. And she sent that mold, the one mold test thing, and I was like, maybe I should test my body. I've tested the house. I know the house doesn't have any mold. The house is good, but maybe I should test my body. So the moment that I tested my body, I did a pee test, and it came back that I was 10 times the allowed amount for ochratoxin. And ochratoxins are mycotoxins of mold. So it's like, mold is not bad for you, it's what molds produce.
Okay.
So this is a byproduct of mold. So, and it's invisible, you don't see it. So when that came high, I knew my house was already clean because I've tested my house, and I've always had this thing against the ice machine. I don't know why. I asked my husband, was like, to clean every 2 months. I would think about like those lines are just there and nobody sees what's going on. I've always had a thing against it. And this is an expensive one. It's not a cheap carcinogenic. It's an expensive one. So I asked my husband finally to like open the ice machine. So once he opened the ice machine on parts that we're not supposed to open and we're not supposed to clean, it was full of mold.
Wow.
Yeah, so you were not supposed to open. We cleaned the parts we could see, but this part you were not supposed to open. So once he opened the ice machine and was full of mold, I tested the ice machine. I tested the mold, and he came back for Aspergillus penicillin, and I tested for mycotoxin, and it came back that he had ochratoxin.
Wow.
So I knew that was where I was exposed to ochratoxin. And ochratoxin is known to make renal tumors.
Wow.
So it's actually very simple if you put it together. You
Right.
get a test and it says it causes renal tumor. You're like, okay, this is it,
Right.
And then I tested my ice maker, and he had the mold that makes this mycotoxin.
Wow.
So it was like full circle for me. And then I've tested my husband. I've tested my kids. My husband came back twice the amount. If you're a man, you have testosterone, it won't attack you as much. And he didn't drink as much ice as me. He would drink soda or other things that were in bottle or cans, but he wasn't drinking the ice like I was doing. I was drinking those Stanley cups full of water, So, and then my son, the 4-year-old, also has twice the amount, but he's a third of my husband's size. So that really is sad for me that he's going through that, but we're doing a little detox, and hopefully he'll be fine. But that's how it came all full circle. I've tested everything. I've tested my body. I've tested the ice machine, and now I'm trying to find somebody that can test my tumor for me to see if that mycotoxin is inside the tumor too. So,
Okay. So did you get the surgery?
yes, I got the surgery. I took it out. My cancer was encapsulated. It was 1.8 centimeters. And this is the top 4th doctor in the country. He's supposed to be the best doctor. And my case was a simple case. And, it goes back to all this. I feel like it's very spiritual, my journey, because this guy doesn't make mistakes. He's not supposed to make mistakes. He's the best guy,
Right.
And I'm the simplest case you can have. I'm stage 1, 1.8 centimeter. You just can't get this wrong. And he doesn't give me clear margins.
Wow.
I don't have clear margins. But, so the way my pathology came back, it says that abuts, but it doesn't pass. So it touches. So the cancer touch it, but it never passed the line. So, but a pathologist cannot give you a clean margin if you don't have a little space between the line of cancer and the line where it was cut. So I feel that if he hadn't done this mistake, I would have just accepted my fate and thought that, because all these other doctors told me, like, once you take it out, it's not going to come back. So I would feel reassured that I was cured.
Right.
But by having this, it's like God was like, you're not going to have, you have clear margins, but by medical terms, you don't have it. So therefore, you're not going to rest and accept that you are cured. You know what I mean?
Right.
And if I had accepted, I would have gone home and I would have kept drinking the ice. And within 2 to 3 years, I would have reoccurrence, and it would have metastasized, and I would have died. My kids could have got sick. They would have grown up their whole life thinking that we are predisposed to have kidney cancers, that our family is genetically broken, you know,
Right.
and that we're all very unhealthy people. And it's not true. We're very healthy. We're just exposed to something that was making us sick daily. So once I got home and I was drinking the ice, you know, it took me from the day that I had surgery, which was April 14, 2025, until I found out that it was ochratoxin, which was May 7th, I think was maybe 21 days. And that's why I don't get it, why research can find what causes cancer. I get it, you looking for a cure, but shouldn't we know what's causing?
The root cause is so important.
Yeah. How are you going to treat something if you don't know what's causing? And how are you going to treat something? So you go to the hospital, you have chemotherapy, you have radiation, you have surgery, and then they send you home to the same environment that's making you sick. It comes back every time. Right. So I got into like Facebook groups, and people were like, oh, I was stage 1. And they were like, you're cured. And they were very reassuring. But then I started reading that people were like, I was stage 1, and then within 3 years, my cancer came back. Or within 5 years, some were 10 years, some were 15 years. And I know 15 years is not that bad. It's a good time to have cancer and survive.
Right.
But I'm 36, and my kid is 4. That only gives me living with him until he's 19. To me, that's not enough.
Right.
You know, and that was the max that I was finding. So it was like, I have to find the root cause, because if I know what caused this cancer, I can control it.
Right.
I would be able to control it. So I prayed. I was like, please enlighten me where this could go. And that's how I started putting everything together, connecting the dots, and found the ice machine.
Wow.
The day that I stopped drinking the ice machine, next day, I didn't have heartburn. I didn't have oversalivation, didn't have the puke. I started taking my blood pressure stabilized again. I don't have lightheadedness. I don't feel dizzy. I don't have brain fog. My brain's sharper. So I've noticed instantly the difference once I stopped.
Yeah.
So I know that's what was making me sick.
It's the ice machine.
Yeah, and it goes full circle with all the tests. You know, it's not just in my mind. I've tested like 4 times the ice machine. It wasn't once or twice. It was 4 times.
Wow.
All times came back for Aspergillus penicillin, which is one of the worst mold. You know, there's black mold,
Right.
and then but Aspergillus penicillin is one of the big ones that it will make you sick. And if you like ingest that daily, you know, that will build up on your on your body.
Yeah.
And now looking back, I think the flank pain was my body trying to detox the ochratoxin. So it was my kidney trying to get rid of that. And I think all those toxins was coming, and once the kidney was trying to filter everything and clean everything, it was like collecting everything and putting into this little sack, which it's my cancer. You know, they're like, let's keep all these toxins in there. So I needed to take it out. It's important to take it out. But I think I would have been able to shrink if I wasn't being exposed to that ice every day. So within those 6 months, from October to April when I did the surgery, from when I found out to when I did the surgery, I would have been able to heal because I was doing hyperbarics. I was doing some other protocols, Joe Tippins. I was, you know, taking some antifungals, even though I didn't know fungal was my problem.
Right.
I was doing ozone therapy. I was doing all these things, and I think I would have healed myself if I had found the root cause first.
So my next question is, what were some of the biggest symptoms or red flags you were experiencing from the mold exposure?
Yeah, so I really think some of those things would be like you start having fatigue that you can't explain. The brain fog was a big one for me. Memory loss, my short-term memory, even long-term, it was just, my brain was just not there. And you're going to feel the heartburn. I had H. pylori. I had UTIs every month close to my period. I think because kidney was on my urinary tract system. So those, when my immune would come down because of my period, those were coming up. And then I would go and get tested, and it would come back. It would get cultured. It said there was nothing there. So how do I have this every month? But there's nothing wrong with me. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then I had esophagitis grade C. I had SIBO. My stomach would swell up really bad. I mean, all this stuff that was just building up, and I was like, something really is wrong with me. I just couldn't find out. So those were, and then that flank pain. That flank pain for me was a big deal. Like it was my body telling me that you're not detoxing. We're collecting everything in one place, and this is more than we can handle. It's like it's building up. So those were my main symptoms.
Most people wouldn't think an ice machine could cause cancer. What convinced you it was the root cause?
So once I got that test, for ochratoxin, and the test literally said, ochratoxin is carcinogenic and causes renal tumors. So I knew I was being exposed to mold somewhere. And the ice machine was instant for me because I was always suspicious of it. I didn't think there was mold, but I was suspicious of it. So I asked my husband to open, and once it was there, I knew that was my root cause. And that's what I tell my husband. It's so simple. Like, if you think about cancer from from a fungi perspective, it's so simple. And any other chronic illness, so like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, it's so simple that it's really hard to believe that they made us believe that it's this really complex disease. I started sharing my story, and then people would be like on Facebook, and people would be like, oh, that's funny because I had kidney cancer. In 6 months, my husband had kidney cancer. I had kidney cancer, and my daughter had breast cancer, and they live on the same house.
Right.
So you really think you guys are genetic? So you and your daughter, maybe genetically, right? But you and your husband, you don't have the same genes.
Right.
That should be red flags for environmental toxins. You guys are being exposed to the same thing. You're not unlucky like the doctors want to make you believe. So, so once I found that it had that mold, I knew that was my root cause. I knew that was it for me. And like I said, if you think about it, it's very simple. And it's not just cancer, Alzheimer's, MS, Parkinson, autoimmune diseases. So there's a video on YouTube from this lady at a conference for Parkinson. And that was the first video I found about ochratoxin, because there's not much about ochratoxin. Nobody's talking much about mycotoxins. And this lady said that they did a test on people that had Parkinson's, and their levels of ochratoxin was 400.
Wow.
Mine was 21. So theirs was 400. So it made me wonder. And she said that a lot of people that had Parkinson on this study that they did had high levels of ochratoxin. So I think it's the fungi. It's taking over your body to the point that literally even takes your movement.
Wow.
If you think about it. And then it made me think, like, what combinations of toxins, will make you detour cancer and get to Parkinson.
Right.
Or what pathway did that take that it avoided cancer, but it got to Parkinson's. So I think maybe when you combine mycotoxins, I have another mycotoxin, which was DHC, which is carcinogenic too. It's citrulline, I think. I wonder if that combination is what caused my cancer, not just ochratoxin. And if you have just ochratoxin, but not that one, maybe you get to Parkinson, maybe you get to Alzheimer's. I believe the combinations of the mycotoxins will literally, when you're a kid and you have those things that you have to follow to get to the end.
Yes.
So it's like, if you follow this way, you'll get to, autoimmune. Or if your combination is this, you'll get to cancer. Or if it's this way, you'll get to Parkinson's. So I think the mycotoxins dictate, and like heavy metals too, when you combine with some of other stuff, dictate which illness you'll take. That's just my theory. It sounds crazy. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I own a clothing boutique. But that's what I believe.
You've done a lot of research for yourself and for others, and just to bring awareness to something as simple as
Yeah.
mold in your environment makes a huge difference
I
when
think
you can
that's-
figure out what's going on
Yeah.
in your environment.
Yeah, I think that's the number one epidemic, and nobody's talking about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's really encouraging to me. I'm 23 and I'm just starting on my health journey, like taking it very seriously. And as strange as some things are, it's really important to look and make sure you're not causing these things for yourself.
That you're not making yourself sick,
You're not
right?
making-
That your
right.
environment is not making you sick. And when I found out that this was my problem, I went on Reddit, and the amount of ice machine that are moldy, Reddit had photos of an ice machine at a hospital that it was all black. So I'm like, so if you don't die from whatever disease you went there, you're going to die from that mold exposure,
Right,
you know?
right.
So think about how we're exposed to this mold daily, because every ice machine is moldy. So if you go to a fast food, if you go to a restaurant, if you go to a hospital, if you go to a Thunder game, you know, it doesn't matter where you go. If you have that ice, being exposed. And then people say, oh, I went to Europe and I felt great. And yes, our food has a lot more things, you know, more toxins in it than they do in Europe. But has anybody stopped and thought about it? The drinks that we're drinking with the food, what if the drinks is what was making us really sick? You know, what if the mycotoxins are in the drinks? Because the food is made fresh every day,
Right.
you know? What if it's the drink?
Yeah.
Like, I get it. Like, the food is a big one, too.
It is.
But our cold obsession, we're obsessed with cold cars. We're obsessed with cold houses, cold drinks. You know, our houses, the way we build is different than everywhere else in the world. You know, we are one of the few countries that has central heat and air. I'm from Brazil. We don't have central heat and air there. You from...
Zambia.
Yeah, they don't
Zambia,
have
Africa.
central heat in there. They have a lot of sun, which is very good. It kills a lot of mold.
Right.
So it's very
Right.
healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to think about our cold obsession in
Right.
America. You know, these houses are perfectly sealed, and you live inside of this bubble that doesn't have any healthy air coming through.
Right.
And that's a big deal.
Right.
I don't think we're made to live like that. So.
Absolutely not. My follow-up question is, you did all this testing. How did you figure out that how did you find all the testing?
So I don't know. Let me think about it. Oh, so I have a doctor, he's a chiropractor, and he's the one that was doing ozone therapy. So I asked him, he'd done some vibrant wellness tests for me. And then I was like, can you do a mycotoxin test for me? He had already done a heavy metal, came back good. He did a viral test, so I came back for Lyme, which I want to talk just a little bit about that, because a lot of people that are exposed to mold will have Lyme or other viral things. Like I had EBV2, which when I was I was like 16, my best friend, she kissed this boy. She got mono.
Oh, no.
She came to me and asked me to make her favorite food. I made her favorite food. I had her try, and I got mono from her. We ate on the same spoon. And I had never even kissed. And mono's the kissing.
And that's why I don't share drinks with people.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yes, it's embarrassing, right? But I had never even kissed. So I was sick for a whole month. But I healed. I was fine. The mold brought out all these things. In 2012, I didn't know I had Lyme back then because I'd never tested. So this doctor actually tested me for Lyme. But looking back, and then I started learning, I had a bullseye, and nobody could tell me what was wrong. But within a few years, I became better, and that was that. But mold will bring everything that's bad on you up. You know, like heavy metals, viral infections, and all this stuff. So once I went there, I had done those tests. I knew he did those tests. I asked him if he could do a mycotoxin test. So he did that for me. So when he came back high, I started reading every book I could find on it. So I found Neil Nathan. He wrote the book Toxic. Dr. Jill Krista, she said Break the Mold. I think it's her book. And they recommended to do a real-time labs, which if you have it, do a real-time labs. You can order online, and it's like $300. It's a P-test you can do from home, and you mail it out, and you get the results in your email. So that's kind of how I found out. And then I did an epigenetics test, which I use MaxGen Labs. All these things you can do by yourself, because no doctor is going to order this test for you.
Right.
I actually asked some doctors about mold, and I asked to get an antifungal. They look at me like I was crazy. But like I had to soften what I knew because she felt superior, that what she knew was more than me, and I'm not there to argue with the doctor.
Right.
So I humbled down,
Right. Yeah.
So I act a little more dumb than he was. But they're not going to listen. They're not going to take you seriously. That regular medicine doesn't believe in mold. But I think that would put them out of business. If you start treating mold, there's, if you have a war, like we were in Iraq or Afghanistan, and you killed the person that was Bin Laden or whatever, there's no more war to fight.
Right.
What do you do with all those compounds you had and all those soldiers? They don't have a job. What we do with all these hospitals and all these doctors and all these nurses and all this medical billing? It's not just doctors. It's a whole system.
Right.
What do you do with that? So you can't fight you can't kill your number one enemy, or your war is over.
Right.
So it's a big deal.
And I do believe that there is a spot for Western medicine and modern medicine, but I just wish that they would collaborate and work together to help people, because sometimes like the medical system makes people more sick than they really are.
Well, they keep just putting Band-Aids on what's wrong with you.
Right.
And I'm not against Big Pharma. There was one point that I was, but I'm not, because we need them.
Right.
So they're good on the things that they really are good. Surgery, if you break a bone, emergency care, if you have a heart attack.
Right.
They really are good at emergency and healing you and surgery and putting you back together. They're good at that, and we should focus on that.
Right.
But when it comes to finding what's making you sick, they don't really investigate that. It's not, but I get it. Can you imagine the amount of people you see? And you can't have a house episode on every person. You know what I mean? You can go to their house. You can go investigate.
Right,
you can have 5 doctors sitting together and think, what's making Betty sick?
Right.
You have to do that for yourself.
You have to take care of yourself.
There's just too many people. You can't do that. So that's on you.
Right.
So when I learned that actually it's on me, they can't do that for everybody. It's just not really feasible.
Right.
So I'm not against Big Pharma, and yes, I would love for them to find and improve their mold is,
Right.
but they're good on the things that they are good, and we should validate that. Which I did surgery. I found a good doctor that did help save me. That tumor is out. That's important.
Yeah. What detox or healing protocols helped you the most?
So hyperbaric was one of the best things for me. I started seeing changes like so fast, and my brain became sharper, and that heel, that problem, that cut on my heel that I had helped, my memory, all this stuff. And then my blood test too, like once I started doing hyperbarics, my blood came back all green, and before it wasn't green. And then ozone therapy helped some, lots of supplements, antifungals, red light therapy, but sauna. I do sauna every day.
Okay.
And that's very important, because when you sweat it out, you take those toxins out of your body. That's a way of expelling it. This is not a therapy, but finding the right epigenetic doctor that can help you with your tests so you can turn on and off. We're not broken. We just have some genes that yours might be turned on and mine might be turned off. It would be nice to have somebody that can teach you that.
Yeah.
Because I have MTHFR and slow CoMT, which is relevant to my story because it means that I cannot detox properly, so I hold to those toxins, So that was a big deal for me, because I was, like I said, I was constipated my whole life. And then I started researching, and there was a time that I learned about epigenetics and MTHFR, and I started taking methyl B complex supplement, and within 5 days, I've had to take laxatives my whole life. TMI, but I had to. Within 5 days of taking this methyl B complex, I started going to the bathroom. And that was huge for me.
Yeah.
Because I thought I would die constipated.
Right.
And then that fixed. I was just depleted from folate and B2, B1, riboflavin. And nobody was checking that.
Right.
You know, so that was not a protocol, but something that was very important. Make sure you have all the nutrients that your body needs.
So kind of backtracking, you said you were constipated your whole life. What was your lifestyle from birth to now? Like what changed and what?
I've always really liked sweet.
Yeah.
I had a sweet tooth. Yeah. So that was a big deal. And I think that's why I think mold is opportunistic. Mm-hmm. That's why it was the easiest target in my house.
Okay.
Whoever goes to the bathroom last, lose. Mm-hmm. I was the one that was a week without going. Mm-hmm. So I was going to lose. So lifestyle really matters, you know, like what you eat. And overall, I didn't think my whole diet was bad, but I did eat a lot of sugar, you know, and that does help.
Yeah.
I did walk and stuff like that, but I wasn't doing major exercises. I couldn't even, when I exercise, I never even sweat. Mm-hmm. So none of that was coming out.
Right.
So sauna was important for me, you know, because if I can't sweat by walking, I have to find another way for that to come out.
Right.
I didn't drink enough water. Mm-hmm. So all those things, they add up. Mm-hmm. So yeah, like I probably didn't have the most healthy lifestyle, but I could have lived that lifestyle maybe another 20 years before having cancer if I wasn't exposed to mold. You know what I mean?
Right.
I wouldn't have had as long of a life as a normal person that took care of themselves, but I wouldn't have died from it. Like, I think the toxins on that takes longer to build up. But when you have mold, that will accelerate everything. That will take 10x. So
yeah. And so yours is the mold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my problem was mold. And some people have different mycotoxins. That, you know, like Roundup, it's a toxin. Roundup, the Johnson Johnson talc, you know, the Flint water PFOAs, or I don't know how they say, Teflon, basically.
Yes.
You know, that's a toxin. So I think toxins are very related to what's causing your cancer. What environmental toxin are you exposed to? And I think a lot of people is going to be mold. I think more people than not is going to be mold because it's more common than, you know, the Roundup and the Teflon to build up on that.
Yeah.
And I did test for those. I did test because I went testing everything.
Yes.
So I tested my glyphosate. I tested my PFOA or PFOAs, whatever they're called. I've tested for BPAs, for plastic. Those numbers came fine.
Wow.
So I knew it wasn't that.
Yeah, because there's a real movement with microplastics.
Well, mine were in the yellow. They're not fine, but I knew they weren't making me healthy enough. But I think I was absorbing more because all of this gave me leaky gut. Forgot to say that. Leaky gut was one of my symptoms. So I was absorbing plastic more than most people. You know, your body can take that out, but if your lifestyle is not good, you're gonna keep everything.
Right. You can't sweat it out. What is your biggest message to someone listening who is sick and can't find answers?
I think my biggest message would be find the root cause. You have to find the root cause. Like I said, your doctor is not going to do a house episode on you.
Right.
You know? You're going to have to research it. Find your root causes. Start doing tests. You know, in the end, these tests are so expensive, they're out of pocket. But in the end, it will save you so much money. It will give you time. You know, what's more important than time in this life?
Right.
You know, it will make you healthy. So I think find your root cause. Start testing for mycotoxins. If I had cancer, the first thing I would do is test for mycotoxins and then go from there. If that's not it, test your BPA, test your glyphosate, test your heavy metals, test your virals, you know, viral infections. I would do those things. So.
Yeah. If you could go back and talk to yourself on the day that you got diagnosed, what would you say?
I would have done this test. I would have gone back and say, test your mycotoxins. And if I did and came back positive, I would have stopped drinking the ice. I would have attacked with like a Joe Tippin's protocol or any other protocol or an antifungal protocol because my problem was fungus. So like Fenbin and ivermectin, I don't know if we can say that here.
Probably not. We'll have to cut that.
Cut it out, Chris. Then let me start over.
Yeah.
I would probably do a mycotoxin test, like I said, because if I knew back then that that's what I had, that I was being exposed to mold, I could stop drinking. once you stop exposure, your body can heal. Because right there, your body is on a that lizard brain, whatever that they talk. He's being attacked. He's trying to survive. So he's doing everything he can to fight whatever is attacking you. He doesn't have time to heal you and fix you. But I think if I had stop exposure and then some antifungals, because I had and detox that mycotoxin heavily, I think I would have been able to shrink and I would have been able to heal myself.
Right.
But I wouldn't have known all of this, and I wouldn't have been able to share with other people. So I think I walked every step to be able to be here today, to be able to share. And I have proof, that I think the biggest thing about my story is that I have proof. Before I moved to this house in 2022, February 2022, I had a clear MRI. And people ask, well, why did you do that MRI? For no reason. My dad's best friend is a radiologist, and I wanted to see how my stomach was doing because I was constipated. Came back healthy, came back clear. Then I moved to the house May 22. So within 3 years, I have this cancer that it's supposed to, I was growing 3 times faster. That's another sign of environmental toxins, The cancer should have grown 0.3 millimeters per year. Mine was growing 0.9.
Wow.
So I was growing too fast, So I think I'm not the first person to find out that mold caused their cancer. There's many people that have come to that conclusion. But the difference on my case from other people is that I actually have connected all the dots and I have all the proof. Because people will be like, well, you don't know how long that cancer has been there. No, I actually do. Right. Because I have a test right before I moved to this house. I know that was between this time and this time. And, I have everything tracked. So that's what makes my case different. And it could prove for a lot of people.
Yeah. Here at Hyperbaric Plus, we talk a lot about measurable results and finding the baseline.
Yep.
Just so you can keep track and you can have proof. Because sometimes people don't believe that hyperbarics is helping, hyperbaric air or things like that. Or you work with Josh and all the different protocols. People don't think it's working because they don't have evidence, and we live in an environment and a generation
we want
where
evidence.
You have to have evidence, and you have to be able to prove certain things, and it's just really awesome that you figured that out and you have that proof to share with others that this is what you did. And especially if they don't believe in traditional medicine and they have the option to do this, I think it's
in my case goes back to what you said. I'm not against big pharma. It's really important. I want that tumor out of me, and they are the only ones that can do that for me.
Right.
But it's important that you go and find your root cause, because if you don't, it's going to come back. You're being exposed to it. And I just want people to believe that we're not all genetically broken.
Right.
It's environmental. It's not genetics like they made us believe. We're being exposed to what's making us sick, and our body is actually not. There's no cells going rogue. They're actually trying to save us and collecting every toxin that's coming on you and keeping encapsulated on your tumor, instead of trying to kill you. It's not your body trying to kill you. It's your body trying to save you. And that's what I want people to take from this the most.
That your body's not trying to.
No, cancer, the idea that people have from cancer that it's genetic and that your body's attacking you, I believe that's wrong. I'm not a scientist. Like I said, I sell cloning. But I believe it's wrong. Yeah.
Well, Shay, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your story.
Yeah, I was excited.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to share with our community, or tell us where to find you? Because you have a TikTok that's blowing up right now.
Yeah, I have a TikTok that got 65,000 views.
Yes.
I'm no TikToker. My videos are not very good. But I'm on Facebook, Schayene Silva, Schayene. You can find my story there. I think you should go there, because there I have all the tests. I have pictures of the ice machine. I have all the proof. So it's good to read on that so you can see the proof. And I have actually even reviews from other people that had that ice machine that said that they went through not the same thing as me as cancer, but through the same issues trying to clean. So over there I have all this stuff. So go there and find out.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I encourage everyone that's watching, because I went through and I went through all your social media because I wanted to get some insight.
I'm trying to share. I want the message to be spread, but I'm not an influencer. I'm not that good at it.
You're very influential, and everything that you've done is going to help a ton of people.
Yeah,
I've seen their response on your stuff.
And a lot of people been getting back to me, and they were like, "You saved my life. You saved my kid's life." And I said, if I save one person, that would be enough. I told my husband I'm going to start counting right now because I think I'm to the hundreds already. Probably send me straight to heaven. I'm adding up.
Yeah, you could be the Aaron, because without Aaron,
I'm going to be somebody else Aaron.
Yep,
yeah,
that's awesome.
That's right.
Well, thanks for being here, and thank you for letting me interview you.
Yes,
for my first
I loved it. You
session.
did a good job.